Welcome to Conscience Conquerors. I'm Nicole.
I'm Eva.
I'm Adrianna.
Vikki.
Today we're going to be discussing morality, and we're going to cover topics like what it means to live morally and what it means to be morally right towards other people. So the first topic we're going to cover is what it means to live a moral life.
Thank you so much, Nicole. I can actually step up to this one. So to me, living a moral life means doing as many things right, quote unquote, as possible, meaning being a generally good person regardless of the circumstances. This also means, at least to me, standing up to immorality that we observe in our surroundings and making sure everything's filled with as much goodness as humanly possible for us. Would anyone like to build off of that?
Yes, I completely agree with your statement. And to me, living a moral life means showing kindness toward oneself and others, along with living a fulfilling life. It also means showing respect and gratitude toward others as well as yourself.
Eva, I loved your input on standing up to immorality. I think that's very important. A lot of people tend to just think that doing the bare minimum by just being a good person does it all, but when we see people being immoral around us and we don't take a stand, I think it is very important to remember to stand up for others, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. Vikki,
I agree with what all of you have said, but I also believe that living a moral life is being honest with yourself and others.
No, yeah, totally. I definitely agree on that plane. Kind of relating to like morality and like it being like in all of us. Where do you guys think that we as humans develop our sense of morality or our moral compass?
That's a really good question. I think that we as humans develop our sense of morality through our interactions and influence of others. From a young age, we tend to mimic the emotions and behaviors of those who are older than us or those who we look up to. And these influences could either be virtuous or not, but either way, as we grow older, we build more skills on how to interact properly with people through encounters we have with others. So,
No, yeah, definitely. I do agree with that. I think that as humans, our sense of morality is mostly developed from our experiences, whether that's from our actual experiences or even just being told that something is wrong or that you shouldn't do it. Like, if you grew up with everyone telling you, oh, don't say bad words, don't insult people, then that's going to be in your brain as wrong if you do it.
I have something I would like to add. So I believe that humans develop our sense of morality in experiences and interactions, which help us become who we are. And just like bad habits are formed in childhood, so are good habits. And like we will always be like maintain the ideas of what we were taught when we were children by our parents or people who raised us.
I think it does come from, well, the people that we've been around, but it also comes from the broader aspect of you living in a community, in a neighborhood, living in a culture. Your morality, I believe, it comes from being a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely agreed. I do think that's important.
Okay, so another topic we are going to be discussing today is whether morality can come easy to people and if there's a clearly defined concept of morality.
So I believe that morality is different in each person, which helps define us as individuals. Some people may find it easier to live a moral life, while others may find it more difficult. And there's no defined concept of morality. And many families and cultures have had different views of morality and how to live a moral life.
I completely agree. It really depends. For some people, morality comes easy, but others tend to struggle. But I guess from like a certain standpoint, living constantly morally like 24/7 can be really challenging, especially if like those around you aren't being very virtuous towards you, or you are just in a, let's say, bad mood, or you're just in a wrong, like, you're not in the right mindset.
Okay, I agree with what you guys have said, but I also believe that morality is different for each and every person. So, and it depends on what you've grown up around. So, morality can come easy to someone, but it might not fit another person's definition of morality.
I definitely agree. I do also think that regardless of what that concept of morality is, we as humans are inherently good people, knowing at least the basics and having at least some sense of morality, like, oh, don't go around killing people. It might come easier to some than others, but for the most part, we at least have an idea of what's right or not. However, there really isn't a clearly defined concept of morality because, as you guys have mentioned, even the concepts of right and wrong do vary between different cultures, which is interesting.
So, what are some examples that you can give that you can use to support your answer to the previous question?
Okay. I do think that it's always good to have examples. So one example I would have would be a situation where you're pressured to do something that you believe isn't right or that isn't right. And it is important to consider the consequences of your actions and make the right decision no matter how many people tell you otherwise, and not be like peer pressured into anything. And this is where your conscience usually comes into play, which, as we've mentioned, is a very important part of living a human life.
I agree. Conscience certainly coincides with the concept of morality. They kind of come hand in hand with each other. As you're living morally, you have to use your brain to think what is right and wrong, so you don't make a decision that hurts others and yourself, short term or long term. And when you listen to your conscience, it's a big building block in how to develop your sense of morality. So it's really important. I guess it's like the main thing in trying to live morally. So
Yeah, those are both really good points. One example I have would be if you're having a bad day, but others around you may be having a good day. In a lot of cases, it's easier to be morally compassionate when you're in a stable mood, and emotion can make it easier or more difficult on how you interact with others.
No, yeah, that's definitely really smart. I do agree that a lot of times you do have to like push through what other people might be dealing with and kind of take that into account with your reactions. But yeah, definitely.
yeah, I guess another example I kind of want to say is let's say someone is being mean or unfair towards you, even though this person is naturally or usually nice or extroverted to you. I guess a lot of people's main instinct is to be distant or mean in return, but when living morally, it's important to consider like how the other person is feeling, if they're having a bad day, or something hurt them, or something kind of brought them to be in the mood where they're at. So instead of being mean to them, you can possibly try comforting them or just asking like, hey, what's wrong? Is there anything I could do to help? Or if they don't want any of your feedback or anything like that, you can just try keeping your distance respectfully until they feel better, or they're at a greater mindset. So.
Yeah, definitely agreed. So honestly, one last thing. So I guess that was all we had to do, or all we had to say for this podcast. I want to thank you if you're listening to this. We really appreciate the views.
And I am sorry I almost said mortal.
Yeah, see, that's just another thing. Our mortality keeps us mortal, because if we live forever, as we do see in a lot of cases involving like mythology or like the Greek gods, for example, immortality tends to go to people's heads, and they're not the most moral because they think, oh, well, we don't have any end to our time, so we can just be butt cheeks. I'm sorry. It's honest. I think a lot of the Greek gods kind of were butt cheeks at times. Specifically Zeus. I don't think he's the most moral. For example, a lot of times they, like, the 10 Commandments say, like, thou shalt not commit adultery. And, you know, like, Zeus is married to Hera, which was technically his sister.
You know what? That is a great thank you for your input. I live by that motto very much so. But yeah, with mortality and morality, they also come hand in hand, because remembering that you're mortal makes you live your life to the fullest, and live your life virtuously and morally, of course. So
Definitely agreed. Does anyone have any input on that they like? I do think this is a really great topic to be having, actually, in our discussion, because, you know, we are mortal, we don't live forever, and I think that's an important thing to keep in mind when thinking about, like, what type of people we are.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for listening, and we'll see you guys later. Stay virtuous. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so
We're sorry,
much.
the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.